Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Wednesday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. I am your host, Chat Daddy, and I'm so hoping that my audio is a little bit better this evening. If it is choppy at the beginning, forgive me, you guys. I've not done a sound check this evening, but I hope the sound will get better if it's not better. It's something we're trying to work on. We don't necessarily know what the problem is, that it is so choppy at the beginning and end of the show, but that's okay. I have another great show planned for your viewing and listening pleasure this evening. As you guys all know, that November, I'm already up in my birthday month. No, September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, and so this evening we're going to have a really great conversation about African American men, mental health, and suicide. And joining me this evening as my co-host is Mr. Kevin Ross. And you know, when he's here with me, we always have a great conversation about just Black men, our whole human race, and things that we should and should not be doing, and how we can live a much better life. And I'm just excited to talk to him this evening about this matter in honor of September being Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. And we'll also give you guys information if you know anyone who is struggling and need help, okay? All right, what I want to tell you guys, also coming up on the show tonight, Coach Mario Kuntz is back, Vanguard Management. And as you guys all know, he's all about fitness, Vanguard Fitness. He is the man when it comes to the meal plans, staying on your regimens, definitely any injuries you've had, rehabilitation, you name it, he's an expert on it. And tonight we're going to talk about anxiety and depression and how important it is to exercise and get yourself up to speed on everything you need to know so that you're not sitting around with a lot of anxiety and you're not depressed. All right, how about that? Okay, that's what it's all about. So it was a beautiful day here in the Chicagoland area. Temperatures were just great. I actually had lunch with a friend today, and she had a drop top, and we let our hair blow in the wind, and we had a wonderful al fresco lunch experience. So it was really beautiful here in Chicago. I do want to remind you guys, it is going to get cool the next couple of days, and then next week we're supposed to expect very good weather next week. It's supposed to be in the high 70s, low 80s next week. All right, so we'll live for that. What else I need to tell you guys? Let me give you the latest Illinois Public Health official numbers. As of today, the Illinois Department of Public Health announced 1,941 newly diagnosed, I can't say it, cases of COVID-19. Unfortunately, we had 35 more fatalities as a result. The rise in the statewide total of cases is now at a tally of 266,151 throughout the course of this pandemic. The state reports a total death toll now of 8,367, with a statewide 7-day rolling positivity rate standing at 3.7%. So hopefully things will be getting better for us around here in the state of Illinois. You know, our governor is still resisting high school athletes from playing any type of sports this fall. And we'll talk about tonight that the Big Ten is coming back. And I know Kevin is a huge sports fan, so we're going to talk to him in just a minute to see what he thinks about all of this as well, too. Ladies and gentlemen, back again with us. Music executive, all around just great guy. He also is the head of Two Guard Media Group, which is a management, artist development, and creative think tank for those that are creators in the entertainment industry. And who better than to have him at the helm of it? This man has been around the world and back. We just love talking to him on the show. Give it up for our good friend, Mr. Kevin Ross. Ross, boss. What's up, boss?
What's happening, brother?
How you doing, brother?
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you perfectly. Can you hear me okay?
It's really low, and I was trying to get my earpiece so I can hear, because I can't hear in that, but that's okay. We're gonna make it work.
Okay, so can you hear me enough though that we're able to get through the show?
I should be able to. Yeah, we'll be able to make it go.
Okay, wonderful. All right. So Kevin, how you doing? How you been surviving and what's new?
Man, it's a challenge, and I first of all I have to say, um, all praises to my Lord and Savior, because that's really who's gotten me through prayer and meditation, and really some of the things that I suggested to people in the beginning of this, even as I was going through them myself, is to really
Hmm.
get back to yourself, really
Right.
get back to God, really get back to who you are, get back to some of your fears and some of your concerns, and try to better yourselves. We should all be trying to better ourselves during this time,
Hmm.
when we have such intimate surroundings and opportunities, and
Hmm.
opportunities to become better with each other as well, opportunities to
Hmm.
become better friends, family members. Start thinking about someone other than ourselves as individuals. I was
Hmm.
reading a very interesting article um, on Western civilization. And
Hmm.
Western civilization, historically, we have been very independent and very singular minded. And that's why you see a lot of this now, for people protesting about masks. And the first thing they yell is freedom, freedom, freedom. And they throw that word around, freedom, not really understanding what that means and what it really means.
Hmm.
And so we are a nation of individuals, a culture of individuals, and yes, sometimes a planet of individuals who have kind of gotten away from each other. So I think it's important to remember that this is about something bigger than ourselves.
Hmm.
Even while it is about ourselves and bettering ourselves so that we can be better together. I guess that's the best way to put it.
No, you know what? And you make great sense of what you're saying. One of the reasons why I continue to do a platform like this is to continue to encourage people to not give up, encourage people to be the best that they can be, and also realize that, yes, this pandemic is a perfect time for people to pivot and learn to do something else and expand their
Absolutely.
and to expand their horizons. So, yeah, I'm with
Absolutely.
you. Look, I'm with you 100%. Go ahead. Can you hear me? Did you lose me?
Yeah, I
Hello.
can hear you.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were getting ready to say something.
No, I was just in agreement with what you were saying.
Okay, very good. Well, with that being said, I want to remind everyone that I know what we need to talk about. I was getting ready. I gave the COVID update numbers already. So, Kevin, let's get into the hot topics and news stories of the day.
Let's do it.
Big Ten football is coming back in October with at least 8 games in 9 weeks. And what do you think about this? Now, the governor of Illinois has said that, high school athletes, football, sports this time of year cannot happen. He's just not having it. All of these suburban areas, these parents are upset. These young people are upset. They're really protesting to go back, in school and to start playing sports. Now that the Big Ten has given the green light and they're going back, what do you think about? Do you think this is too soon? Do you think this is about greed? What do you think going back to sports is going to do for us?
Well, I guess there are two schools of thought for me. The first one is we're dealing with a national health crisis, which means there are some sacrifices that we are going to have to make. Remember, we've really, even though it's 7 months, we've really been in this only just this year,
That's
since
right.
March, right? So no one has asked us to um, completely rework our lives and our existence for the for some unforeseeable amount of time. At some point,
Mm,
we're going to have a vaccine. At some point, we're going to be able to have some sense of control of this virus. But that time isn't right now. I'm
right,
just a
right.
believer that that time isn't right now. I don't believe
Mm,
that it's time for big crowds. I don't believe it's time for contact. We've seen how this virus spreads. First, it was thought only through touch. Now it's through the air. We know that crowds, even if you don't have a crowd, contact to contact, person to person, you've seen the NBA operate within a bubble and still they manage to have some infections. So just imagine a contact sport like football. Just imagine a contact sport like soccer. You have a baseball team that had 9 members get infected the first day of an actual baseball game, and they had to shut everything down again. You know, my belief is that would it be so bad if we had to do without sports for a year? Would it be so bad if we had to do without entertaining ourselves for a year? Now, as it relates to kids and whatnot, I can understand that, you know, I have to be very clear. I can understand their feelings. You know, they're young. These are their developmental years. These are their opportunities. Some of them opportunities to go to college with perhaps a scholarship or whatnot. So these are all things that you have to take into consideration. I get that. But one of the things you said earlier, and it was very key, what you said, is bettering ourselves during this time. And I think I think that we have gotten caught up in, and I've said this a lot lately, and I've taken some heat for it, partially because I'm in the entertainment industry, but I think we as a culture have gotten caught up in these material elements that we have added so much value to, instead of the value of people and the value of us as persons. These aren't football players, these are kids. These aren't just athletes, these are human beings. You know, this is a virus that's affecting. This is one of the very rare instances in history where we have something that affects everybody, whether you catch it or not, whether you are immune or not, whether it affects everybody. And I think that we've been so caught up in, you know, our entertainment and our hospitality, and that's such a big part of our culture. And that I think that we are really crippled by the fact that we can't have that, but that being crippled is here. And I think that forcing sports, I don't agree with that at all. I think that the world could survive for a year without these things. I think that there are some things that we could probably adjust to, find better ways to do, rather than trying to make it happen. Because thus far, and correct me if I'm wrong, we haven't had any success yet with any sport that they've tried to start, except for maybe tennis.
That's right. And Kevin,
am I, you know,
you're
we
right.
haven't had the success with that. Baseball has been affected. Soccer, some people came up infected in Mexico. You've got here in the United States, as I said earlier, the NBA has had some infections and whatnot, even as careful as they had been playing in a bubble. So we don't have a solution. And I just think that trying to force it right now isn't a good idea. I don't think it's a good idea.
I agree with you 100%. You know, we live in a world of sensationalism. We love to be sensationalized. If we look at places like Las Vegas, places like Orlando, Miami, Chicago, these are sensational places. And we even put that value in our children. I want to be a star athlete. I want to buy my mama a house. I want to get us out the ghetto. You're right. You're right. Everything that we do is for sensationalism. And it's kind of not so much for man. You know, I often post this one saying that things were meant to be used and people were meant to be loved. And now things are being loved and people are being used. And that's a Buddha saying. And the thing is that I agree with that 100%. And as I said in the beginning of this, it's about, you know, stepping back, reinventing and figuring some things out. Now, the one thing that I think I do want to happen, Kevin, is our children to be able to go back into a classroom situation.
Absolutely. I agree.
I'm noticing so many situations of people saying that just, you know, trying to even keep their child's attention span. Just, you know, you and I both know by the time I get through with this 2-hour show a night, you know, friends of mine said, brother, I don't know how you able to even wash dishes when you're done. Because this is, you know, this is like working, you know, this is a show. And so we've got to look at these children need to be around other children. They need to have another adult figure direct them, because a lot of times you'll tell your mama no and be disrespectful and not pay attention. And, then she got to whoop you for not, where the teacher will just tell you, turn around, little Johnny, or I'm calling your mother. So, yeah, I get that. Yeah. Yep.
And I think also as it relates to that point, school is a little bit different, because school helps us helps us with our developmental skills. It helps us with our people skills. It helps young people develop, I think, as individuals. You have something a bit more hands-on and a bit more intentional when we're talking about school and classrooms. So I absolutely agree. I think the bigger problem is trying to take those classrooms and alter them as such so that they are safe while still being effective, and that costs money. That costs a lot of money. I've seen lot of money. What it costs to have like plastic dividers and screens and things of that nature, and only certain amounts of students get to be in a certain area, and they can't eat together, they can't, things like that. So there's a cost involved with sending kids back to school. Nevertheless, I do agree with you that school is one of those important components that I think that young people definitely need, and that our society needs, is to try to make that work. And here's the thing though, Art. In other countries, they were able to make it work. Why? Because they had a cohesive national response. They dealt with the problem, and then they sent the kids back to school carefully. That's the bottom line. It's not that it's not as though we don't want to do this. It's simply that our government has not really been as effective as it could be in terms of allowing that to be able to happen in a safe manner. And you and I will get into later why there are some why some of the stresses that we have on us mentally and emotionally are a result of mixed messaging and poor messaging.
You're right. Okay, well, we're going to continue on with the show. We want to send our thoughts and prayers out to everyone out in California, Oregon, and Washington State. We talked about this on Monday's show, last night's show, and we are continuing to see on national news and our local news stations where this fire has ravaged just quite a bit of just communities, counties, of course, the residual effect of all of the soot and smoke is reaching all parts of the country. They're saying that this fire is not just damaging to the people that it affected there. It's going to be damaging global warming wise, all of that. And so again, our thoughts and prayers go out to everyone out there on the West Coast. And if there's anything that you guys can do to help people out, make sure you choose a reputable source to donate to, but definitely help those people. Give me 1 second, Kevin. And then Hurricane Sally did hit the Gulf Coast, Mobile, Alabama. Landfall. It did. It slowly but surely came. So we want to keep those people in our thoughts and prayers. A lot of them are without electricity, flood waters, things like that. And Kevin, I said last night, all of this stuff is of biblical proportion, my friend. A pandemic, the lands are burning and flooding and look, team too much, Kevin. What were you gonna say?
Yes. Absolutely. And to echo your point, my mother lives in Sacramento, and we spoke the other day. And just to give you an idea, Sacramento is nowhere near ground zero of these fires. But my mother says that every day ash lands on her patio. She works out in the garden. She likes to work in the garden, and ash is coming down from the skies, and she's hundreds of miles away from these fires. So the effect is far reaching, and will be long lasting, because we can't replace these trees. The effect that it's going to have on our environment and our climate is going to be significant. Plants help recycle oxygen. They're a very big part of our environment. And I think as much as we have seen certain parts of our our government pay attention to this, I think on a broader scale, we have failed to pay attention to global warming, and we failed to pay attention to some of the elements that are affecting our global system, our ecosystem. And now we're seeing that there can be a heavy price to be paid for that.
Well, I explained on last night's show, we were talking about this. We had a great show last night, but during Hot Topics, the reason why it was so overcast yesterday in Chicago and other major cities is that ash and soot and smoke was actually blowing our direction, and that's what caused us to have an overcast. And I was noticing on the world news tonight where they were saying that effect is going to spread even further. And so, we just never know. And then here's the deal: we're in the midst of a pandemic that requires us to wear masks now anyway, so those poor people will never get a break from wearing a mask, even probably when they're in their homes. You know what I'm saying? Because of the filtration system in their homes or whatever, air conditioning, all of that.
Yep. And then I think too, something else that we need to really look at is understanding different parts of the country. One of the things I liked about the Democratic National Convention, and by the way, I watched both conventions.
I did too.
I liked the way the Democratic National Convention showed different parts of the country and people actually in their environments. I think too many times we don't have an idea about other parts of our nation and our neighbors and other people. And I get all the time people asking me, am I okay in Chicago, as though I'm going to get shot walking to the grocery store, or, are you okay? Oh, you live on the South Side. Oh, wow. Are you good? Yeah, I'm good. Everything is not the way you see it portrayed in the media. If you come and hung out with me on a Saturday night on 53rd Street, you'd see that. So I think we need to also start entertaining really exploring our environments when we have the opportunity again, and not taking and taking advantage of that opportunity now that we see what it's like not to have it. There's more to the world than just going to Las Vegas for your birthday,
Right. No, yeah, absolutely. Show other comments and it's not showing. Okay, I don't know what's going on here.
Uh-oh. I'm in the show.
Peeing on his Grammy.
Now you back.
Oh, I know. I don't know what's going on. It must be something with the Wi-Fi. Can you hear me though?
Yeah, I can now. You started for a while. You sounded like the Charlie Brown teacher, but you good now.
I know the womp 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 womp. I know. So, Kevin, I want to talk about Chicago's very own Mr. Kanye West recently took to social media and he peed on his Grammy. So what is that about? And can you help us to understand from the music executive's point of view?
Well, first off, my prayers and support go out to Kanye. I have been, there are times where I have been critical of Kanye without really taking into account the fact that Kanye has an actual condition that needs treatment. Kanye needs treatment. Kanye's always been a very kind of a hyper and very energetic, but ever since he lost his mother, I'm just of the mind and of the opinion that he hasn't quite dealt with that properly. And as we discussed tonight, as we discuss mental and emotional health, this fits right into that. You can't have a loss that titanic and not deal with it, and then not expect there to be some far-reaching effects of that. And Kanye is bipolar. He has come out and said this. I'm not saying anything that's not true. This isn't a condemnation or anything of that nature. But Kanye is bipolar, and bipolarity just by the nature of the condition, is something that needs treatment. It needs medication. It needs treatment. It needs care. And he needs these things. And one of the things I'm starting to see on social media is that, and this was told to me by one of my mentors a while ago, when you look at a successful man or woman and you look at their mate, you can see whether or not that person is going to be able to excel and exceed at what they're doing based on who they are with. Now,
I agree.
Before everybody gets upset about Kim Kardashian, before everybody thinks I'm bashing her, I'm going to say this. I think that I haven't seen her be as I've seen her be supportive on a surface level. What I haven't seen is her actively going to get the father of her children to get him to get help. And I saw something kind of funny. I'm just going to throw this out there. This isn't me. This is on my social media. They said, if he had another woman, if he had two women, there are two women in your life when you're a young man that are going to get you straight. And it's your wife or your girlfriend or your mother. They're going to get you straight if you ain't straight. That's just how our culture operates. That's just how we as a culture, as Black culture, that's how it works. Black women are super strong, have been super strong, have carried the culture, have carried us as people since slavery. That's just what it is. And if he had a stronger influence, I believe he would be in better shape and wouldn't be acting out so much in this manner. I think that he would have, someone else could have helped him seek help, or I would like to see Kim be more active. Let's put it that way so that we can be fair. I would like to see his wife be active.
Well, listen, I'm with you on that. I think if his mom was still around, she would have been and said, boy, if you don't get over here, I'm going to put you in a headlock. Okay. And then if he was still with the girl in the song talking about she's a Delta, that sister wouldn't have let that fly either. Remember, he sang about the girlfriend in the song and she's a Delta. He mentioned that she would, right. If sister girl was still around, she too would be like, look, bruh, we need to sit down and get you some help. I'm in the same agreement with what you said about, listen, Kanye rose to fame very fast. And then he turns around and loses his mom while he's doing all of this. And we all know, Kevin, and no slight to the entertainment industry, but once you become a big name person, you are now around a whole different enclave of people. You're not around your boy JW no more from 79th Street. If JW's lucky to still be in your entourage, that's because you done put JW in your contract. But for the most part, you are meeting Amy, Heather, you meeting all different people who are there to take your career to the next level. And you're right, his current wife, she, oh baby, let's put it on the TV show and tell everybody you're bipolar or you know you're schizophrenic. Where if that was, you know, we deal with our issues with our family members like that, you know.
Right. And I just think that I don't think that it's healthy. And he's not alone. I mean, there are a couple of celebrities that we have seen by nature of their celebrity. We are more we are more privy to what's happening in their lives. But this pandemic has exacerbated mental health and emotional health. And it doesn't matter whether you're Captain America or whether you're you know, James Bond or whether you're Kanye West. You know, we're all trying to cope with this, and the one of the best ways I think to do that is to really be open and really be honest and seek the treatment that we need in these certain situations. You know, I made it a point when this whole thing started, the pandemic, to call 5 people a week just to check on them. I just called 5 people and just at random. It wasn't someone that it wasn't people I talked to all the time or whatever. I just said, you know, I'm going to call 5 people a week just to, or you know, sometimes 5 people a day. Just take time out of my day just to even leave a message and check on somebody. Because what that did, Art, was not only was I expressing empathy and concern for people, it was helping me cope because I was giving something, and then we can talk. And we are sharing the experience together, because let's face it, man, we're all going through this together. And if you really go back and you look at people's accounting of the last 6 months, 7 months, everybody pretty much has said the same thing. A lot of people were sleeping all day. A lot of people had heavy anxiety. Some other people couldn't sleep at all. Other people didn't know what time it was, or wake up not knowing what time it was. These were all very similar elements that we were all going through. And so we need to be honest with ourselves about what we go through as people. And I think especially as men, we don't do that. And as Black men, we really don't do that.
No, we do not. And that's a part of what we're going to talk about this evening here on the show. But you're absolutely right about that, Kevin. For those of you all that are just joining us, welcome to the Wednesday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. I am your host, Chat Daddy. I am he is I. The gentleman in the box next to me is my good friend, music executive, the creative genius behind Two Guard Media and Entertainment conglomerate. Yes, it's a conglomerate. He's a great guy. He's my co-host here tonight. We're talking about mental health, Black men, and suicide. That's going to be our hot topic coming up in just a few moments. And then later on in the show, Coach Mario Kuntz will stop by, and we're going to talk about exercise to help combat depression and anxiety. All right. It's all about mental health. It's Wellness Wednesday here on the show, and we have a lot to cover and talk about. Do me a favor, go over to YouTube, hit the subscribe button. The Real Chat Daddy Show. Easy, simple, free, does not cost you anything. Your support would greatly be appreciated. The more people who subscribe to this, the more advertisers will come to the show. As well as go over to Facebook and like the Real Chat Daddy Show on Facebook. Easy, simple. It does not cost you anything as well, too. You can go there and do me that huge favor. I'd appreciate you guys. And then you can always stop by my website, visit therealchatdaddy.com, therealchatdaddy.com. Before we go into our next topic, Kevin, I do want to talk to you a little bit about today. You know, I believe in celebrating national days. And so I have a list. Believe it or not, today is National Day for a lot of things. Today is National Guacamole Day. Are you a fan of guacamole, Kevin?
You know, it's interesting. I never liked guacamole because I was never a mayonnaise guy. So anything that resembled the mayonnaise family, a mayonnaise cousin like Julio, the guacamole cousin, mayonnaise, anything like that, I never was a fan of. But I'd say in the last few years, I've actually gotten some really good, when you get the really well-made guacamole from an authentic Mexican restaurant, that's what will increase your appreciation of it. So I can honestly say, yes, I've actually become an avocado dip guy. I've become a guacamole guy.
Good.
So happy guacamole day. And you're going to make me actually, shameless plug, Trader Joe's. You're going to make me run over to Trader Joe's after the show and get me some guacamole.
They do a good job with their guacamole. They really, really do. All right. Today is also National Cinnamon Raisin Bread Day, which is one of my favorites. How do you feel about cinnamon raisin bread, Kevin?
I love cinnamon raisin bread. I got to be honest. Sometimes I would eat that for breakfast.
Yes.
And put me a little remember when we would do margarine? And you would put like a whole bunch of margarine on there, so much so that the bread was hanging down by the time you got done with it after toasting. That was me.
Yes. I knew a lady.
So yeah, I'm definitely a cinnamon raisin bread guy.
I knew a lady back in the day, she would say, baby, bring me the margarine out the refrigerator. And I used to always joke about the margarine. Yeah, that lady would always say, bring me the margarine.
Which, by the way, was nothing but oil.
Yeah, I know. She said, bring me the margarine. I said, okay. All right.
When you get older, you find out what's in that stuff that you used to eat. I'm not even going to get into spam. We'll talk about that on another show.
All right. So yes, today is National Cinnamon Raisin Bread Day. So make sure you guys enjoy some of that. Today is also National Play-Doh Day. Play-Doh was actually created in Cincinnati, Ohio by a guy named Joe McVicker, who initially used it as wallpaper cleaner. cleanser to clean wallpaper. When his father died in 1949, his mother promptly hired him and his brother-in-law to help run the business. But that's what Play-Doh was originally created to remove wallpaper. And now it's something that all children play with. Do you remember playing with Play-Doh?
You know what? I did. I was actually pretty proficient with Play-Doh rather. But so a recommendation here, I don't recommend you try to eat it like I did. That's not a good that's not a good thing. I used to try to eat some of the Play-Doh, and that wasn't good.
No, okay, no, you can't. If you eat the Play-Doh, you know what gonna come out, like rock. So yeah, don't eat no Play-Doh.
Yes,
right. Yeah, it'll lock you up. All right, today is also National Step Family Day, and National Step Family Day is to recognize the 30% of the American population, 30%, to me, that number is awfully low, of U.S. families who are in step environments. That could be a step parent, sibling, extended family member who all come together to make a family work. And so happy Step Family Day. People who had them stepdaddies and stepmamas and all that, so yes, that's what today is. And then last but not least, today is National Working Parent Day. So let's give it up to all the working parents out there, and especially during this pandemic of trying to balance teaching your kids at home and still trying to work. We want to give you parents a shout out. Maybe have a bottle of wine tonight before you go to bed,
or 2
or 3
if you've been homeschooling, or 3.
Right. I love it. I love it. So yes, so to everybody, happy Step Family Day. I know y'all wanted to have a barbecue, all of that. I'm sorry, I'm just telling y'all now, but yeah, next year put it on the calendar so you can have your Step Family barbecue. And then today is National Working Parent Day too. All right, so we love you guys. All right, so with that being said, we have finished news and entertainment. Kevin, are you okay? You doing all right?
I'm doing good, man. Like I said, I got my Trader Joe's sparkling water.
Okay,
here I've gotten hooked on since the pandemic. I've been hooked on sparkling water, man. Pellegrino, whatever it is, it's great for you. It helps clear you out if you get the right like flavors. Like now they've got this green apple that I'm addicted to over at Trader Joe's. So I got my water with me. I'm on with one of the legends of great legends of Chicago. I couldn't ask for any more today.
All right, brother. Well, I appreciate you so very much. I do. And because we're a very health conscious show here, we want to remind everyone to please make sure you're wearing your mask. We're in the midst of a global pandemic right now, and we're encouraging everyone, even though our president does not wear a mask, we're encouraging all of you all to please put a mask on. So make sure you put your mask on. Make sure. Mask up. Yep, mask up. This is the Chat Daddy mask, baby. Yep, mask up. Oh, Kevin, yours, Nacho. Yep, right. Mask up. I also have my Black Lives Matter.
I've even got some new mask fashion tips. If when you're not using it, it hangs over here.
Right. Black
Lives Matter. So that you don't forget it when you're waiting for the Uber, you put it here.
Oh, nice. Okay, very nice.
Otherwise, you got to run back upstairs, and the Uber is the meter's running, so you got to put it on your arm so you don't forget it.
Yep. Well, what I do is when I have shirts on with pockets, I fold mine up and stick them in my shirt pocket. I do that. We also want to remind you guys to please sanitize. Do what you can to keep your hands clean. Sanitizer. If you don't have soap and water, but we do want you to have soap and water, but sanitizer. Make sure
you right here.
Very good. All right. But soap and water is really key if you don't have sanitizer. We want to remind you guys to please social distance, 6 feet back. Stay off of me. I'll stay off of you. And then last but not least on this show, we always remind you, if your ass is not feeling well, stay your ass in the house. Stay at home. It's simple. It's easy. And you don't hurt nobody. And you won't be at risk of contracting COVID or passing COVID. Right, Kevin?
Correct, sir.
Right. Keep your ass in the house. All right. Very good. All right. Let me see. Somebody said, Chat Daddy, wear your mask, hand sanitize. Yeah, I got to keep reminding you guys, this is a public awareness show. So we got to keep reminding you guys. All right. So, Kevin, let's move on to our topic. For a long time, it was assumed that Black people really did not commit suicide. at a level or a rate that was often thought of or even really looked at by our population. You know, every now and then we would hear of somebody committing suicide. We really wouldn't talk on it. We really wouldn't speak about it. But now more than ever, more Black men are committing suicide than any other race other than middle-aged white women. Black men are now the rising number of suicide cases. Recently, Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott revealed in an interview with Graham, is it Benzinger? I'm sorry, Bensinger. I couldn't see it right. That his brother cause of death was suicide. And Kevin, as you and I both know, this story kind of went sideways after he revealed about the death of his brother to suicide. And really, it shouldn't have went sideways, because this is really critical when it comes to Black men and suicide, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So to kind of, you and I discussed this earlier, so to kind of shed some light on what happened, Dak Prescott, as the quarterback of the Cowboys, was very transparent. And one of the things that I said before, again, is transparency and speaking out about how we feel is key. It's key to our health. It's key to our healing. So this young man was courageous enough to, during an interview, speak on the feelings he experienced after the death of his brother, as well as the feelings he experienced during the onset of the pandemic. And one of the major elements of that was his deep feelings of anxiety and depression. And the numbers nationally regarding clinical depression are extremely high. Clinical depression is one of the most prevalent things that we're dealing with here in this country. And so he spoke on this. And then there was the host of a show. His name is Skip Bayless. I don't know if a lot of the viewers here ever got to watch Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith. They used to be on a show called First Take together, a very popular show on ESPN. Well, Skip moved on to another show. Skip has a history of being controversial. And in this particular case, he was rather insensitive. And his actual, what he actually spoke about was Dak Prescott, but he berated him and criticized him for coming out and speaking about being depressed because he was the, quote, leader of America's team, unquote, which takes us right back to the beginning of the show, Art, where we put too much focus on sports. We put too much focus on things that do not matter. It was extremely insensitive. It was extremely ignorant, by the way, to say that as well. There's a level of ignorance attached to that. And saying that he had a responsibility to suck it up and go on out there regardless. Very similar to some other comments that have been made by some former football players. Brian Urlacher made a comment about protesting and Black Lives Matter, and when the players did not want to play after the shooting in Wisconsin, he tried to compare that to Brett Favre going out and playing after the death of his father. No connection there. Where's the connection?
No damn connection.
See, I can't connect.
No
See how
damn
my
connection.
fingers won't connect? No
Right.
connection.
No damn connection.
So that's basically what happens. And one of the reasons that we are reluctant to talk about it is exactly what Skip Bayless did. Is one of the very reasons that we as African American men, or men in general, that are reluctant to expose ourselves, is because we open ourselves up to potential criticism and judgment. And so Skip Bayless came under heavy fire for that. He has yet to apologize to this young man for that. And so that's kind of one of the problems that we have in our culture, is that this is seen as taboo, when in reality, we should be applauded for speaking out.
I agree with you 100%. The Cowboys quarterback also talked about he battled depression earlier this year when the coronavirus pandemic first began here in the United States. And keep in mind, this young man's brother was the caregiver of the mother who died of colon cancer.
Right.
He was very young, 31 years old. These are all young men that are going through an issue of a mom with a terminal illness. We don't know if the dad was financially stable or support. This is a time when everybody's trying to get their career off the ground or either go through school. And it's a lot of pressure. We don't look at the trauma that just life things happen to people. We were saying last night on the show, let's look at Andrew Gilliam's family. Now that you've confessed you're bisexual, you and your wife have to deal with 3 children that the world now knows their daddy was found in a hotel room naked, laying in his vomit from a drug overdose at an orgy. So now there's 3 children traumatized. There's a wife who's now traumatized, even though she says she knew she married a bisexual man. We are so traumatized, but nobody ever takes a moment, Kevin, to say, wait, hold on. Are you okay? Do you need anything? How can I help you? Is there something I can do to help your level of trauma? We just brush it off. It happened and oh well. And I wonder, why is that such a problem in the Black community, Kevin, more than any other? Because see, my white friends, oh, the whole family went to therapy. You don't hear Black folks saying that.
Oh yeah. Well, I think one of the things that we also have to look at is that we're experiencing levels, trauma on top of trauma on top of trauma on top of trauma. We're dealing with a pandemic. We're dealing with an invisible enemy that we can't see, feel, or touch unless you catch the virus, and only 1% of the population actually catches it and it could pass away from it. So that leaves a whole segment of the population wondering, and there's and with operating in anxiety. So we're dealing with that trauma. Then we're dealing with the trauma of looking at social media and watching social injustice unfold before us. Every day somebody sends me a video of some type of police interaction that has to do with an African American, generally African American male, or a citizen calling the police on somebody African American. And we have to deal with that on a daily basis. And these are all traumas. These all tax our emotions. Then we have situations like Chadwick Boseman, where we have a figure who is revered within our culture and within our community, and then he passes away. Robert Cool Bell from Kool and the Gang, he passes away. I mean, we're losing people. I don't think I've ever seen this much death in 6 months than I have in 20 years, not back to back to back like we're seeing. And so we're piling trauma on top of trauma on top of trauma on top of unemployment, on top of possible eviction, on top of not being able to go to the hospital, inadequate health care, inadequate unemployment benefits.
And keep in mind, we're 48 days from a presidential election, and we all are sitting out here. We don't know whether to shit or go blind with this election. You know what I'm saying? Like the old people used to say, we don't know, because things are so uncertain. It was so funny. I was talking to somebody about making an appointment for November 4th, and the person said to me, I don't know if I'm scheduling any appointments that day, because if things don't go the way we want them to go, we might be on shutdown again. So I don't know. It's a lot of uncertainty in this world we're living in right now.
And we have leadership that adds to that uncertainty. That's another problem, is the person who is considered the quote unquote leader of the free world is a problem in and of himself. And he has problems. It's quite obvious. He has certain disorders himself. So he's of no help to us. In fact, he's adding to the anxiety. He's adding to the angst, and
Right.
he adds to that. We have a government that adds to it at this point.
Right. Well, let me give you all some information that you might find eye-opening. Here are the number one, or the list of reasons that Black men consider committing suicide. Number one on the list is psychological distress. Black men go through quite a bit of psychological distress, like you just would not believe, from employment, whether having employment, lack of employment, housing, finances, resources, just a lot of the things that Kevin said. Number two on the list of why Black men commit suicide is because of substance abuse. Number three on the list, Black men have a higher rate or a higher level of being access to lethal means, as far as firearms and weapons, to be able to kill themselves if that's the way they so choose to kill themselves. Number four on the list is social isolation. A lot of Black men feel as if they're alone and they're just in this world by themselves. Number five on the list would be homelessness. A lot of our homeless population. Number six on the list, which I find is so shocking that it's so far down, is exposure to violence is a reason why a lot of Black men commit suicide. Number seven on the list is family dysfunction. Number 8 on the list is not having multiple adaptive coping skills. And I found that to be very interesting, but I thought about this. Kevin, you and I are able to cope in pretty much any situation we're put in. If you and I put on a black tie suit, a tuxedo, shirt, bow tie, shoes, we know to walk in that room and serve it to them. But then
Right.
you and I also can go down on the low end and see something going down and also know it's time for me to run, because this might be a drug deal going bad, or this might be, you get what I'm saying?
Tuxedo or not.
Yes. And I learned that many years ago about, I thank God I'm able to maneuver between different situations. I had a friend, I took him to a black tie dinner one time and he couldn't hang with it. He just couldn't even cope with it. It was all too much for him. And so that's a huge factor why a lot of Black men. And then last but not least on the list is racial inequality is a reason. So that's the list. That isn't that sad?
Yep. And I think, half of the things that you spoke about are culturally, have been reinforced culturally for most of our history. When you talk about the jobless rate, when you talk about the perception of the Black man in society today, and then you have to look at a George Floyd situation and watch that play out. And I that was very traumatic for me, because as I said on one of our earlier shows, I've been racially profiled since I was 15 years old in this country. And I suffer from PTSD of that racial profiling. There's some places in Chicago that I will not go to. And when I do go to them, I get bad feelings of anxiety. Naperville, Rosemont, they're just places where they simply, they just hold bad memories because of some treatment that I received there. And that's telling on you psychologically as well. So we have these things that are inherent in our culture and in our society that reinforce these feelings of helplessness, of anger, of resentment, of weakness, of any number of different things that we have to deal with on a regular basis. I used to say, I had a girlfriend once. She said, "Honey, we gonna go skydiving." I said, "No, we're not. I'm not jumping out of no plane." She said, "Why?" I said, "Because being a Black man in America is enough of an adventure just walking out the front door. I don't need to jump out no plane. All I need to do is try to walk to Walgreens at night dressed in all black." You dig?
Right. And not have a hoodie on and somebody thinks something's wrong.
Right. And not get, it's very interesting story. A video was, I saw a video earlier today There was a young man in Elk Grove, California, and this is significant because Elk Grove is where my mother lives currently. It's a suburb of Sacramento. And as you probably know, there was an incident in Sacramento where a young man was shot in his grandmother's backyard. He was shot in the back by the police. Here we are in Elk Grove, where my mother lives, in a suburb. This young man's 19 years old. He was driving. He ran a stop sign. And so in the video, the police pulled him over. Now, this woman who pulled him over made him get out of the car, got out of her car, asked him if he was on probation or parole. Now, this is for running a stop sign, right? After she has his ID and his registration and all of the paperwork necessary, she gets out of the car, and the whole time she's standing there, her hand is on her gun. So fortunately for this young man, he was in front of his house. He pulled up to his house, and she pulled up behind him. Well, his mother came out, and his mother would not allow for her son to get back in the street, to get back in the car, none of that stuff. She kept her son in the driveway. Next thing you know, you have 8 police units drive up to a traffic stop. And I'm watching this unfold, thinking he ran a stop sign. You asked him if he's on probation or parole. You wouldn't ask that of a white man. There's just no way that you would do that. It sounds even ludicrous for you and I to sit here and say, hey, Art, there was a white guy driving and he ran a stop sign, and the first thing they asked him is he on probation or parole? Does that even sound realistic? That's the culture we live in.
Right.
So I'm watching this video and I'm watching the stress, and I'm like, man, this is what we live with on a daily basis.
It's sad. It is really, really sad that this is what our world has come to. I mean, Kevin, just unbelievable. You know, you just even telling your story about suburban places here in Illinois. I know Black men who fear communities right here in Illinois. I know a Black man who he has just horrible things to say about Bridgeport and how he was treated when, you know, he's much older than you and I, and just how Bridgeport was a horrible place for him. And I now look at the fact that we now live over in Bridgeport. So, I mean, you know, and just things have not gotten better over the course of years for us. We have advanced in many ways, but we still, I feel, are 2 steps behind just equality for all people, and especially Black lives and how they matter, you know?
Yes, absolutely. I think that one of the things that I've also, and I would encourage all of our viewers tonight to do this, but I would encourage doing it, but in segments. One of the things I've done is I've taken the opportunity to kind of go back. You know, our education system doesn't really tell us the full story of the country that we live in and the environment that we live in and how things may have gotten the way that they are. I think you can cope with life a little bit better if we understand how something has gotten to where it is. So I have very few times where anything surprises me anymore, because now I've read about the Pilgrims and the Indians and the real Thanksgiving, the real George Washington, the real Thomas Jefferson, the real Constitution, and what this country kind of has founded it's founded itself on, the principles that it is supposed to espouse. It doesn't necessarily do that. I think that America is a great country. In theory, right? America could be, if it followed the Constitution, it would be. If all men were created equal, if everyone had their rights, if there was an equal distribution of wealth, if there was an equal accounting of all peoples are Americans, regardless of creed or color. If we treated women better, women didn't even get the right to vote until the last 100 or so years. Right, you know, in this country. Yes. So you have to take a look at kind of where we are and how America can get better. And so I think that I've taken the time to really go back and kind of study these things and understand, oh, so that's why this is that way. That's why, you know, we have you know, law enforcement acts this way, or politicians enact these laws, or this works for this person and not that person. And you know, yes, I understand fully that Democrats used to be Republicans. I understand that. I understand Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves and he was a Republican, but there's a story behind that. There's reasoning behind all of this, and it's very complex. So study a little bit more, man. Let's read a little more.
All right. Well, things that we have to change, not only here in Chicago, but across the country. The number one reason, or I'll give you guys the top 4 reasons that Black men do not seek out mental health advice or go see a mental health expert. And here's the number one reason: lack of services being within their neighborhood or in proximity of what they need and want to do. Oftentimes in economically deprived neighborhoods, they have to go to group therapy sessions, and the group therapy sessions may not work for them because, again, when you put 10 dudes in the room, I guarantee you everybody's going to have a different issue in that room. And if it's only an hour-long therapy session, it's probably not going to be effective. Number 2 on the list. Right. Number 2
I think the average treatment, my mother is a psychologist. It takes anywhere from 6 months to really discover what's bothering you to a year to actually really get to the treatment elements of it that you can enact in your life in order to help you get better. That's at least a minimum of 12 months right there. Right. You're absolutely right about that. Number 2 on the list is lack of insurance coverage. Most men do not have out-of-pocket costs to go see a therapist. It's cheaper to get a fifth of alcohol and buy a dime bag of weed and whatever else you need to break that stress down before you'll spend that money to go see that therapist. And so that's a huge factor. Number 3 on the list, a lot of men do not want to be associated with the mental health stigma that's attached. Kevin, you and I both know the moment you tell somebody you in therapy or you trying to seek help or whatever, I told you he was crazy. I told you, and that's the stigma that goes along with it. We've all been there, right, Kevin? Absolutely. There's no question about it. I think one of the times that there have been a couple of times I posted on Facebook and I was very open about my struggles with depression. I lost my father when I was 12 years old to a brain tumor. Oh. And he died from a grand mal seizure. And no matter who you are, when you're a child and you lose a parent, that's a devastating occurrence. Mm-hmm. And for me, it affected me well into my adult life. And I went to see a child psychologist. I've been to 2 therapists since then as an adult. And a lot of self-care, a lot of self-counseling, a lot of things at church, a lot of engaging with my pastors, Bill Winston, the Living Word. I always tell people Living Word basically saved my life because there were elders there at the church that I could talk to. So we need these resources. We need the ability to be able to get these things out. And to be able to express ourselves without fear of reprisal or judgment.
Right. Very good. Oh, I like what Leslie said. They think you done lost your marbles. Yep. The moment men do not like to seem to be weak. Black men, I don't care what type of black man it is. He don't want to be known as weak and not able to deal with his issues. And last on the list is most black men do not trust their doctor or the medical establishment. They think that, mental health, seeking the help is all about evaluation, telling your business. They just don't trust the doctor and the medical establishments. And that's something that most of them would have to stop doing, because if you really need the help, then you must do it, Oh, wow. Leslie says she lost her mom at 20 and she swear it's been a real in the last 2 to 3 years. Oh, and absolutely. And she's 52 now. I feel the same way, Leslie. I understand losing my mother. I feel the same way. So I get that.
Right.
Yes, I do. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, and then something also too is every time we see another loss, we re-experience that trauma over and over again. Mm-hmm. Depending on the circumstances of the certain losses that we might observe in other mm-hmm. people or under other circumstances. And so that trauma continues to repeat itself. And we have to continuously perform therapy on ourselves or have therapy performed as we heal from that.
Yes. All right. Well, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, if you or one of your loved ones is feeling any type of feelings of suicidal thoughts, you may have been contemplating, thinking about it, whatever the case may be, we ask that you please reach out to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Again, that's the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 1-800-273-8255. Again, that's the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 1-800-273-8255. The number is scrolling across the bottom of the screen. We're doing our part to help. September is National Suicide Prevention Month. Kevin, that was a great conversation about Black men, and because I know quite a few guys that have committed suicide, and I just was shocked, just unbelievable that I never in a million years thought those guys would take their life, but they did, and it's very sad. And the unfortunate part about it is people really don't talk about it after it has happened. They just let it go,
Yeah, I mean, I think I read somewhere where at least 75% of people, not just Black men or Black people, have had suicidal thoughts, at least one suicidal thought in their lives, at least one or so. I know that I've had a couple of suicidal thoughts in my lifetime. And the other thing too is, as much as the suicide prevention hotline is great, there's nothing like establishing a relationship with someone that you can trust, that you can talk to. So if you're comfortable in your church and you've been going for a long time, there are individuals at your church probably that can help as well. I know that the person that helped me was, shout out to Kevin Briscoe, Living Word Christian Center. We met on the basketball court, and it was supernatural. He looked me in my eye one night and said, "Why are you so sad?" I said, "What are you talking about, man? I'm out here balling, baby. I'm shooting threes. I'm having a blast out here. What you talking about?" He said, "No, brother, there's a sadness in you. There's a sadness behind your eyes." And I started talking to him, and he said, "Have you considered going to church?" And I said, "I have not." And he said, "Living Word Christian Center." Now, mind you, we're playing basketball out in Rosemont, over by the airport, yet he was an elder over at Living Word Christian Center, and I was living in Oak Park, and Living Word Christian Center was 10 minutes away. Wow. So that's how God works. God will put you in the right position. Right. And the first time I went to church, I ran up out of there. Right. I ran. I got all hot and bothered, and I took my Bible, and I felt Satan got me out of there. I went back that next Wednesday, and Bill Winston had me crying like a baby. But I also gained a family. I gained people that I could talk to. Kevin became a confidant and a counselor, and basically saved my life. So find somebody that you trust and that you can talk to, whether it's at church, whether it's some type of counseling service in your neighborhood. If you're younger and you're watching this show, or you're a parent and there's a child, schools have these services available. They do have, almost every school has a psychologist, a school psychologist. Seek out help and seek out advice.
Very good. All right. Well, with that being said, thank you so much, Kevin. That was an outstanding segment. Again, if anybody is in need, please reach out, get someone who can help you. And again, National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Make sure you definitely reach out to them. And that's a nationwide number. The number's at the bottom of the screen. All right. Coming up tomorrow evening, it's the Thursday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. It's Relationship Thursday. Tomorrow night, we start a new segment on the show, Dear Chat Daddy. We'll be going into the mailbag to answer some letters about love, relationships, and what people should do. And then tomorrow night, our good friend, book author and relationship guy, Mr. Leon R. Walker, will join us. And Leon will talk about the 50-50 rule in every relationship. What did Teddy Pendergrass say? He want a 50-50 love. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about tomorrow tomorrow night. Not a 60-40, but a 50-50 love. Kevin, my luck been so bad. Mine's been more like a 80-20. And I'm giving the 80 and I only get 20. So we'll have to see. I can't wait to have this conversation.
Mine is, when you're looking at the gas meter and it's all the way down. I got a reflection here. How
right.
Is it this way?
Yeah.
Where's it at zero? Wherever zero is, wherever it's in the red line.
Yes.
Down there and it start blinking.
Yes.
That's where mine is. It has been non-existent.
That's the way I feel too, brother. So I can't wait to talk about what this 50-50 love will bring tomorrow. Because, when we come out of this, we're going to need loving relationships to be in. We're going to need them. So we'll just figure it out. Well, our last guest this evening is no stranger to the show. He's been here with us many times before. We just appreciate him, whether he's doing fitness demos or just giving us great advice. And that's what he's doing tonight. Because it is Wellness Wednesday here on the show, I thought I'd invite Coach Mario Kuntz to come by tonight and talk to us about the benefits of exercising to deal with depression and anxiety. Because we're in the middle of this pandemic, we all are experiencing a little anxiety and depression. And here to help us with this, I love this. Leslie said, too funny, Art. You too funny. I pray you both find 100% love. No, honey.
I'm glad she thinks it's funny.
Me too, but mine is like 80-20. I give 80 and they give 20, and I'm coming up dry. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the show our good friend, the one and only Mr. Mario Kuntz. How are you, Coach?
Hey, I'm doing great.
We got the applause. We got the applause going in the background.
Hey, Coach Mario Kuntz.
Good, Coach Mario.
Glad to have you here with us tonight. Good to have you here tonight, Coach. Tonight has all been about Black men, us talking about health and wellness and how we can all just help each other to be better. And so tonight you're here to talk to us about the importance of exercising and dealing with depression and anxiety. Go right ahead, Coach. The floor is all yours.
Absolutely. Chat, first of all, I appreciate the opportunity to come back to the show and present this vital information to your audience. Kevin, very good to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Coach got that Keith Washington. You got the Keith Washington look going.
Oh Lord, don't tell Coach that now. Don't let it go to his head now, right?
All right. Well, the topic that I'm addressing, exercise and the positive benefits that it has on individuals that suffer from anxiety and depression, for example. It's an interesting, fascinating field of study. I'm just really scratching the surface of it. There's so much content out there. But what I want to stress is that psychologists have uncovered 3 primary factors that contribute to the prevention of cognitive decline and mental issues like stress and anxiety. Number 1 is ideal weight and maintaining your optimal weight based off of your height and age and that sort of thing. Continuous learning is the second. And then the third is exercise. Now, the first 2 we've known about forever. The third one, exercise, is a little bit more squirrely. So not a lot of research had been conducted on that up until the last 20 years or so. So there's several benefits that exercise can provide when we're talking about people that deal with anxiety and depression. Research has shown that there's a correlation between depression, anxiety, and exercise. The physiological and psychological benefits that come from a regular exercise program can help to improve mood and reduce levels of anxiety. Exercise can also help to keep depression and anxiety from coming back once you start to feel better. So there's tremendous benefits from participating in regular exercise activity. So why is this so pertinent now? A big part of the reason is because we are in the midst of a pandemic and we're dealing with things that we've never had to deal with before. Key among those would be isolation, and isolation can be toxic to an individual that's dealing with depression and anxiety. Close to home, right here in Cook County, suicides are up 13% over the same period of time last year. A little further out, when we're talking about, let's utilize one of the highest levels of suicide rates that have increased over during the course of time. Fresno, California, suicide rate is up 70% as recently as June, as opposed to that same month last year in 2019. So it's a real thing, and we're having to deal with that. What are some of the reasons for that? Well, pre-pandemic, before this even occurred, suicide rates were at historical levels. We haven't seen suicide rates this high since World War II. And the factors that have been identified, there's 5 key ones that psychologists have zeroed in on. Number one of those is economic stress. People are concerned about their livelihoods, whether or not they're going to have a job. If they have lost a job, how are they going to continue to feed their families? Social isolation. You know, we're social distancing. We're keeping away from people. We're not having those parties. We're not going out as much. Those sorts of things. Reduced access to religious services. Overall national anxiety. So we've got little or no direction coming out of the White House, and that information that does tend to come out is confusing and conflicting.
Absolutely.
So people don't know. Should I wear a mask? Should I not wear a mask? Should I social distance? Should I not social distance? They're telling the White House is telling us, you know, you should practice it, but the president holds rallies with hundreds of people, and none of them are wearing masks. So what does that do to the psyche?
Coach, with thousands of people, not hundreds of people, thousands of people.
Absolutely right. I stand corrected on that. And then another factor is increased firearm sales. We saw what took place in Kenosha, Wisconsin, with these armed militias of these nutbags that are under the guise of patriotic duty. We're going to go out and protect life, liberty, and property, and we're going to arm ourselves and that sort of thing. I've got a lot of friends that are into, you know, First Amendment rights. The right to bear arms. And they have told me that in some cases, you have to be on a waiting list just to get ammunition. People are stockpiling weapons. You got a lot of people that think there's an impending race war coming. So these are all very stressful factors, even for people that don't deal with stress and anxiety. You take an individual that does suffer from that, and what does that do to their psyche? So it's a real thing out there. My sister just sent me a link about PepsiCo. PepsiCo is a company that manufactures Pepsi and Gatorade and Fritos and Cheetos, Lay's potato chips, all that stuff. And I've got the article right here. And the headline is PepsiCo to launch drink to aid sleep as consumers struggle with stress. PepsiCo, they're launching a new drink called Driftwell. It's meant to help consumers relax and unwind before bed. The enhanced water drink contains 200 milligrams of L-theanine. L-theanine is an amino acid. Basically, it's used to improve mental function and treat ailments like stress and anxiety, mental focus, improvement, those sorts of things. And Driftwell is saying it's going to be available nationwide starting in December. The key, there's another note in here that says that doctors and dentists are reporting more cases of cracked teeth and insomnia as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. So why is cracked teeth mentioned? What do people do when they're stressed out? They grind their teeth. They grind their teeth. So the bottom line behind me presenting this information is that you don't get a multinational corporation like PepsiCo to back a product like this unless it's a real thing. Stress and insomnia and anxiety are at ultra high levels, and we're dealing with this on a regular basis.
Agreed. And so my question, can you hear me, Coach?
I can hear you just fine, yes.
Okay, great. First of all, let me commend you. Those were all right on point. I think I mentioned a couple of them earlier with art as it relates to a failure on a national level to provide guidance to us as citizens and guidance to the population, a concise, coherent message. Is really very difficult, adds to the difficulty. My question to you would be, what would you suggest would be some great stress relieving, perhaps exercises that people can do in their homes, since you don't really have as much access to gyms as you would ordinarily?
Well, Kevin, you must have read. Look, you must have read the script. That was next. And see, Kevin didn't even get the script tonight. See there? I was gonna say, Coach, how does it work with structure?
There's more to this than just a pretty face.
I see. I'm just so in it. Never mind, Coach. Continue.
It depends on the overall level of fitness on the individual. If a person is going from a sedentary lifestyle, never worked out before, haven't done so in years, you want to start off very basic. Even if it's just as simple as standing up and sitting down from a seated position, or jogging in place, or if you have dumbbells, maybe doing some basic curls. If you don't have weights, you can use canned goods, anything that is going to provide some sort of resistance. If you're a little more fit, you can do things like you can even going for a walk or jogging or jumping rope. There's a ton of things that you can do, and they all provide benefit to you, because the bottom line is exercise does help to relieve depression and levels of anxiety. What happens is once you start to exercise and work out on a regular basis, it releases these feel-good hormones called endorphins. You may have heard about those. They're one of the brain's 4 happy chemicals. And the happy chemicals in the brain, there are endorphins, there's serotonin, there's oxytocin, and then there is, I'm forgetting one, dopamine. So those are the 4 primary ones. So those are released in the brain as a result of working out. They're natural cannabis-like brain chemicals. They're called endogenous cannabinoids, and it's basically the same result that you get from marijuana smokers. They get that feeling of euphoria. The same thing happens naturally in the brain as a result of exercising and working out. They basically serve to enhance your sense of well-being. So that's one of the benefits. Another one is exercise helps to take your mind off your worries, if only for a little while. So it helps to get away from that setting of that cycle of negative thoughts that feed your anxiety and your depression. Working out can help you to gain confidence. So as you start to accomplish and realize some of those physical fitness goals and challenges, even if they're small ones, I can do 2 more push-ups than I was able to do 2 weeks ago. I can jog a half a block farther than I was able to do last month. I've got my Fitbit, so maybe now I'm walking 7,000 steps as opposed to a couple weeks ago when I was only doing 5,500. So all those little accomplishments, you want to celebrate them because as you accomplish them, you're going to start to feel better about yourself. And bottom line, when you get in shape and you're feeling better and you're looking better, about your physical appearance, it has a positive effect on your mood and your overall well-being. So those are some of those. In addition to that, working out and exercise, it helps you to gain more social interaction. So we are naturally social beings. We like to be around other people. I know you have to be quite a bit more concerned about it now because of this age of social distancing and that sort of thing, but it can still be accomplished. Exercising and physical activity can give you a chance to meet with and socialize with other individuals, even if it's just as simple as, you're walking or jogging around your neighborhood and you give a friendly smile or wave to a neighbor. Those little things can help to enhance your mood, and that plays into enhancing your mood and improving those levels of stress and anxiety. Exercise, it's a healthy coping mechanism. Doing something positive to manage your stress and your depression and anxiety, it's a healthy coping strategy as opposed to some of the detrimental, more addictive techniques and strategies that some people use to cope. Alcohol consumption, smoking, overeating, risky sexual behaviors, different things like that that can lead, or just ignoring the symptoms and hoping that they'll go away. These can oftentimes lead to, more detrimental effects. So those are just some of the benefits. So bottom line, when we move, when we get our bodies going, when we're active, we utilize more brain cells than any other human bodily function or activity. So there's a ton of benefits. And in addition to that, studies have shown that exercise in a lot of cases can be as effective as antidepressant drugs. And a lot of people that are dealing with these kind of anxiety and levels of depression, that sort of thing, they're taking these antidepressants, and there's a lot of side effects. And I'm even talking about your big boys, your Celexa and Prozac and Lexapro and Zoloft. If you can get that same benefit naturally, why wouldn't you want to and start to come off of some of those medications? Because there's a ton of side effects. There's no side effects with exercise. And with antidepressants, you're dealing with things like agitation, erectile dysfunction, nausea, insomnia, fatigue, feelings of lethargy, diminished sex drive. There's a lot of negative effects that go into utilizing these antidepressant drugs. So, just some more of those benefits that come out of exercise. Yeah.
Boy, did he say stop with alcohol, smoking, and risky sexual behavior? Oh boy.
Yeah,
I did. I know for a lot of
Well,
yeah.
people, it can be-
well, here we go. Here we go. Well, let's move on to the wait.
Somebody's out of luck.
Look, let's move on to the next guest. Thank you, Coach
Somebody's
Mario.
gonna be
Thank
out of
you,
luck.
Coach.
It ain't gonna
Right,
be me,
right,
but
right.
somebody's out of luck.
Somebody's not going to sit well with that. I
Is
won't
that
say it
velvet?
today.
Somebody's
Right.
out of luck. Is that velvet?
I'm sorry to be the bad
You know,
guy.
that was, what something else too.
He's
I
right.
noticed that a lot of people, and myself included, actually picked up a lot of extra weight just being inside. I got up to 300 pounds. I had never been that heavy in my entire life. That's almost twice what I was in high school at 300 pounds. So what I was able to do, very, very true to everything that you said, which by the way, I commend everything that you said.
Yeah, he did a good job.
I found myself, my accomplishment was planking. I could only get to like 7 seconds in the beginning. And then I got to 12 seconds, and then I got to 28 seconds. And there was a sense of accomplishment when I was sitting there shaking and doing my thing and making it happen. There's a sense of accomplishment. And I think that there are so many things that we don't notice that we've taken for granted that this pandemic has allowed us to come back around and see and pay attention to. Something as simple as walking. You have the Fitbit, Coach, because you probably make the good money. Mine is in my phone. It's a free app. You download the free app. It lets you know how far you walk.
My good watch too.
Yeah, I got my free. Yeah, see, both y'all, y'all probably got a grant from the government. Me, well, I just got it on my phone. I pay the phone bill every month, but I try to get around 5,000 to 8,000 steps a day. I find that 5,000 to 8,000 steps a day say that I've been doing something. It's some type of activity. It's generating something. And so I got on the scale the other day and I found that over the last few weeks, along with my CMOS, shameless plug, I found that I've lost 8 pounds. Nice. And I'm feeling better. I'm looking a little bit thinner here, a little bit better. And that's a direct result of a lot of the things that you suggested.
Let that belly go now. Let it go. Don't be sitting there holding that belly here while the show is on. Oh, look at them guns. Look at them guns.
Now, all right, Kevin.
Trust me, when the doctor said 300 pounds, I almost passed out. I almost fell off the scale. I never have been that heavy ever. And you can tell the difference in your mood. You can tell the difference when you walk. And so it's very vital. The things that you're suggesting, very vital.
Very good. All right, continue on, Coach.
You be commended on that. To make that sense of accomplishment that you've made in achieving that goal. So that's outstanding. Keep that going.
Yes, absolutely.
So that leads me to the next phase. So a lot of people ask, well, do I need to participate in structured exercise or does it have to be non-structured? So when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about structured exercise, classes like Zumba classes or boot camps or any type of group activity. And research has shown that physical activity, even as basic as like the walking that you were talking about, and not just formal exercise programs can help to improve your mood. So physical activity and exercise, they're not the same thing. A lot of times people confuse that. So physical activity, basically we're talking about anything that works your muscles and requires energy in order to be performed. So these could be activities that you engage in at work. Maybe you have to walk around a big plant, or maybe you're lifting boxes or whatever the case might be. It could be household chores. It could be leisure activities. All these things are physical activities. So examples would be washing your car, gardening, walking around the block. Okay. Exercise, on the contrary, is basically it's planned, it's structured. They're repetitive body movements that are done to improve your physical or maintain your physical appearance or levels of fitness. So those are the deciphering factors between the two. Running, shooting basketball, swimming, weightlifting. So basically any physical activity that gets you off the couch, gets you moving, can serve to help to improve your mood. So that's important to recognize. And one of the things that I suggest is to broaden your view of what you perceive exercise to be. Even adding small amounts of physical activity into your daily routine can be beneficial. Taking the stairs instead of the escalator or the elevator. Parking at the far end of a parking lot and getting in a few extra steps, as long as it's safe. If you live close to your job, maybe you can consider biking to work. Whatever it takes to add in that extra bit of physical activity, that can be enough to boost your mood and alleviate some of those symptoms that are the result of depression and anxiety. How much is enough? How much exercise should you be doing? That's a question that I come across and I'm presented with on a regular basis. Even doing 30 minutes of exercise and physical activity or more 3 to 5 times a week can significantly serve to improve your levels of anxiety and depression by reducing them. Even smaller amounts, like 10 to 15 minutes a day, or as little as can serve to make a difference. So it doesn't take a whole lot. Now, the caveat to that is that the mental health benefits of physical exercise and activity can only last, or typically will only last, when you stick to it over the long term. So this needs to be a lifestyle change. It's not something that you do for the short term. I'm trying to look good so I can get ready for this party or this family reunion, or so I can look good in this bathing suit for this trip I got coming up. Because what happens when the trip is completed? What happens after the party is over? Do you go back to your old ways? You don't want to do that. So you want to make this something that's continuous. So that's a good reason to try to find activities that you enjoy doing, because you're simply going to be more likely to stick with them. A big stumbling block that a lot of people run into is, well, how do I get started? How do I stay motivated? There's several tips and strategies that you can utilize to accomplish that. Identify what it is that you enjoy doing. Not everybody likes jogging, so maybe you prefer tennis, maybe you prefer swimming. You want to make sure that if you have been diagnosed with a mental disorder like anxiety or depression, you want to make sure that you get the input from your mental health professional or doctor. That person is going to help to direct you in the proper direction, so that you're making sure that you're accomplishing your goals in a safe manner. Set reasonable goals. A lot of people just try to take on the world all at one time. They want to, accomplish. They want to get back to their the high school shape. They want to lose a tremendous amount of
That's me.
weight, and you want to do it all in one time. So just like when I work with individuals for weight loss, one of the things that I tell them when they get frustrated, listen, that weight did not come on overnight. It's not going to go overweight overnight. So you want to stick with the process, practice patience. It will come. You just have to be determined and diligent with it. Don't think of exercise as a physical or physical activity as a chore. It's just like me. I don't like cleaning out the shower. I don't like scrubbing the toilet. However, it's something that's necessary and I need to be doing. But because I look at it as drudgery, I'm less likely to do it. I don't do it as often as I should. Exercise the same way. If you look at it as, oh, I got to go work out today, I don't feel like it. What's going to happen? You're going to be more reluctant to do it, and you're going to be more likely to discontinue that activity. So change your perception of exercise and the benefit that you're going to get from it. Work to analyze your barriers to physical fitness and exercise. Why is it that you don't like exercising? Is it because you don't feel comfortable in a gym setting? Well, if that's the case, maybe you're going to receive more benefit by exercising or working out at home. Maybe you do better when you have someone with you, or someone to help to increase your level of accountability. In that case, you might want to try to get someone to partner with you, and a workout partner or workout buddy, whatever the case might be. So when you can find out what's keeping you from exercising and becoming physically active on a regular basis, you're more likely to develop solutions to overcome those. Finally, prepare yourself for obstacles and setbacks. They're going to come. Exercise and physical activity and working out can be strenuous. It can be draining. It can be tiring. You're going to be sore. That's all going to come. It's all part of the process, but don't allow it to deter you from your overall goal, because the goal is you're trying to improve your mental health, your mental well-being. So stay on target as far as that goes.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I was agreeing. I was saying, okay. I was agreeing with you. I'm that guy who wanted about 50 of them pounds off in a week. which was not going to happen. It was very unrealistic.
Kevin, you was trying to get into your mankini for summer. You was trying to get into your Speedos.
Look, let me tell you something. There's no feeling worse than trying to put a shirt on that you used to be able to put a t-shirt on easily, and you struggling like Dwight Howard, what I call the schmedium. When Dwight Howard, all his clothes look like they way too small.
Right.
Well, Kevin, what you could do, hang on to that shirt, because that's
what I did, Coach. That's exactly the key. I did not go out and buy extra larges. I did not go out and change the sizes of the clothes. I said my goal is to get back into them. My goal is to get into them.
Yeah, and nobody has to see it. I mean, you're trying on that shirt in the privacy of your own home or whatever. But as you start to make those improvements, and it's fitting a little better, that's something to keep you motivated. Whatever it takes to keep you on track.
I find that you lose inches before you lose pounds. So your progress works a little bit better. You will lose inches first, and then the pounds for me came off. The 7-8 pounds came off, but I went from an extra large down to fairly comfortable large, and I was good after that.
There you go, and that's what it takes. So it's like you said, you want to lose all of it at one time in a lot of cases, and it goes back to that old adage, what's the best way to eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So physical fitness and achieving those goals is exactly the same way. When an individual is dealing with depression and anxiety, a lot of questions, do I need to inform my doctor about this? I'm just working out, I'm just exercising, that sort of thing. The answer is emphatically yes. You definitely want to consult your physician, your health care practitioner. Let them know that this is what you're going to be engaging in. If that medical professional is worth their salt, they're going to ask certain questions. They're going to want to know about what types of activities are you planning to engage in? How much, how frequently you're going to be planning to work out, how long each exercise session is going to last in terms of duration. And they're also going to, one of the things that they should be doing is working to identify any medicinal contraindications. So basically that is, a contraindication is the negative effects that certain prescription medications can have on physical activity. And there are some major ones out there. Antidepressants, sleeping pills, particularly the long-acting ones, antihistamines, diabetes medications is another one that's negatively affected by exercise and physical activity on a regular basis. Blood pressure medications, statins, which are used to reduce cholesterol levels, antibiotics, especially the really strong ones that are meant to fight off bacterial infections and that sort of thing. Oral decongestants is another one, and then any opioid pain reliever. So if you're on any of those as a result of your depression, the depression that you're experiencing, you definitely want to make sure that you consult your physician before you engage in any physical activity. So it's important to note, I'm not a psychologist, that exercise is not a substitute for talk therapy, also known as psychotherapy. You definitely want to keep up with your treatment and that sort of thing, but it is a way to help to manage the condition. And there have been numerous studies shown that exercise will accomplish that for an individual.
Very good. All right.
And shameless plug, water. Every day. 90 ounces there, 90 ounce. There you go. See what I'm saying? 90 ounces a day, water. 99, or what is this? 33.8 fluid ounces. I do about 3 of these a day. Nice. See, all healthy black men on this call. That's what I like to see.
That's right. Outstanding. Good.
All right. Well, Coach, with that being said, tell everybody how they can find you, reach you, all that great stuff. You did an outstanding job as always.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I can be reached at through my Facebook page, which is Vanguard Exercise Management. That's VANGUARD Exercise Management. That's the Facebook page. I have an Instagram page that folks can reach me at also. That is Vanguard MGT. That's VANGUARD MGT. The number 1 is Instagram. Or you can send me an email at Vanguard Management, VANGUARD MGT @yahoo.com. I do a lot of speaking engagements. Even right now, I'm doing more virtual stuff. But if you have an organization that wishes to have information on diet and nutrition or exercise or physical therapy, that sort of thing, I'd be more than happy to do that. But those are the methods that individuals can use to reach out.
Very good. We got a viewer that says, love the info, got Boo listening. He's learning something. Well, that's what this show is all about. That's why I created this show. This show is people giving their gifts and time back to mankind. We don't care who you are, what race you are. We do want to see our people who look like us, black and brown people, do better. But we want anybody to walk away with this beautiful knowledge that we're sharing on this show. Coach, you've done an outstanding job tonight. This has been just
absolutely
perfect to talk about suicide, depression, anxiety.
Hercules.
Yeah, give it up for the coach. Give it up for Coach. Really great job. Kevin, you've done an outstanding job as well tonight, gentlemen. I just, I don't know. I just love you both because you're my brothers and friends, and I just appreciate you for everything there is. Coach, do you want to give people a word of encouragement during this pandemic? I'm gonna let each one of you guys give a quick word of encouragement before we go about people just holding on through this time of this pandemic.
Yeah, definitely. I'd be more than happy to kick that off. Use this time as a period of reflection. It's a great opportunity to take advantage of, things that you've always wanted to do. If you're stuck at home, maybe you're in an unfortunate situation. Maybe you've been furloughed. You've got all this additional time on your hand. You can look at it one way where, this can be stressful. I feel like the world is coming to an end. Or you can say, you know what, this is an opportunity for me to write that book, to improve myself, to learn a new skill, to adapt, because that's what this is all about. This pandemic, although it's very detrimental, it can also be utilized as a mechanism for self-improvement. So it's all about, the way that you look at it, the way you perceive things. We've been through worse. I'm sure that, I've been through a lot of things in my life, and a lot of them are worse than what I'm going through right now. I survived it, and you're going to survive it too. So don't allow, all the negativity that you see in the media, that you hear from other individuals, to bring you down. You can do this, and this is a perfect opportunity for self-improvement and reflection. So find something that's going to motivate you, that's going to drive you, and use that to become a better version of yourself.
Very good. All right, let's go back to Brother Kevin Ross. Brother Kevin, can you hear us okay? You've been giving.
I certainly can.
Been giving words.
I had to plug up the phone. We've been going so hard. I went down from 60% to 8%.
Oh, I'm
on
sure.
The phone.
Kevin, you've been giving good words of advice tonight, but give some closing words of advice, please.
Well, the coach kind of covered, covered the bases, and that's that. We should be using this time. I know it's hard to hear this, and it sounds like a commercial, but I'm going to echo what the coach said. We should be using this time to better ourselves. As I said before, I've done a lot more reading. I've been watching YouTube and Google and learning a lot more. I've learned so much about just different elements of our being as human beings, about our culture, about our state of mind. I've taken up reading about chakras, our spiritual health, things like that. Take the time to really start kind of researching some things. If you've ever had questions about things, kind of start seeking those answers out. One thing I will suggest, do not continue to watch social media all the time. Unplug every once in a while. Don't watch television all the time, because it's really not a lot of great news coming right now. So do enough to stay informed, but don't become attached and addicted to it, because it can cause there can be negative effects from that as well, in terms of our mood and in terms of being able to cope on a regular basis. So just keep learning, keep growing, check on somebody other than yourself. You may be going through something, and it may be tough to conceive of checking on somebody else, but let's start getting into the habit as people of thinking about someone other than ourselves. Even if you just call one person a day, or if you've had a disagreement with somebody, I've had to learn humility. A lot of humility. I've been practicing a great deal of humility, and if I've been at fault for something, I accept that, and I'll call that person and let's talk about it. So let's think about someone other than ourselves, because we're in this together.
I love it, gentlemen. I really do. I appreciate you both. This has been an outstanding show tonight. I just feel like this has been a Black brother kumbaya moment. Wakanda forever, I guess we should say. Wakanda forever.
Rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. Rest in peace, Chad.
Yes, absolutely. Well, gentlemen, thank you so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of yet another amazing show. I want to thank both of my guests tonight, Coach Mario Kuntz, for his really encouraging words to help inspire and motivate us all to do better. But we're talking to Black men tonight more than anything. Thank you to my host, the one and only Mr. Kevin Ross, my co-host tonight. He did an outstanding job. We got a lot of great feedback, you guys. Yay.
Good.
Very, very good. A lot of wonderful feedback. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you guys all know, for more information about yours truly, you can always go over to therealchatdaddy.com. Let me see, where is it at? Therealchatdaddy.com. Easy, simple, go right there. Do me a favor, go over to YouTube, subscribe to The Real Chat Daddy Show, and go over to Facebook and subscribe to that page as well too. All right, gentlemen, well, God bless you both. I appreciate you spending your Wednesday night with me. Let's see, I think we got more feedback. Oh, everybody did love the show. Yay, a round of applause.
All right.
All right, gentlemen.
Fantastic.
Well, good night, everybody. We love you guys. We'll see you all soon. Have a great night. And
Peace.
We're out of here. Bye.